Welcome back to Cowpart Bros. Jason and I are fresh out the segment of Deshaun Quagmire Watson getting his 11-game suspension finalized. In this third segment, we're going to be talking about a little thing I like to call road trips and rip tips. Jason, I had an opportunity to go on a road trip in early August after a contentious and stress-filled spring and summer. I decided to live a little and see a little of our wonderful country and visit some of my brethren down in the wonderful state of Texas.
The second favorite state of the Cowpart Bros.
Jason, you've been to Texas before, right?
I have. 2007. South Padre Island, son.
I'm trying to, I could have sworn I saw at least one sign for South Padre Island.
Yeah, but you were going the wrong direction, son.
Yeah. Clearly that was not going to be on this trip this time. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention this. I have probably eaten my weight in barbecue the last 10 days. It's been amazing. First off, we took care of this road trip in about 2 days. And so first leg of the trip, we stop in St. Louis. And we just pick a random barbecue joint because I've had barbecue on the brain pretty much the entire summer. And what I realized is, this joint is in the hood. And I didn't
St. Louis.
I mean, ideally, the best barbecue is going to be in the most suspect areas.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, yeah. It's like they always say that if you go to get Italian food, you want an Italian person in the kitchen. Like if you go to get Mexican food, you want a Mexican in the kitchen. You want some good soul food barbecue. Which one in the kitchen? You want a Leroy in the kitchen, right? So there you go. I said it.
I compare this to how you know that a barbershop with white dudes cutting black men's hair. Like if you see a ton of brothers just in the waiting area, I'm like, yeah, it's legit. It's not a sports clips.
Exactly. Facts. Straight facts.
It's like not only is Leroy working there, does Leroy have an appointment?
he has an appointment book right there. If you ain't in it, you gonna wait. That's it.
Leroy has a standing appointment at that barbershop. So I do think that there is a tie in there into socioeconomics and the correlation to whether or not the barbecue is good or not. That being said, part of our entourage, dare I say, was dressed like he had money, but he didn't. And I had to quickly remind him, I'm like, dog, why you out here looking like Sam Rothstein? Take that shit off. They gonna think you got money.
They gonna be mad when they try to rob you. You ain't got nothing.
I also knew that it was a questionable area when we went across the street to the gas station and there was a truck on cement blocks.
Okay, bro. Now I gotta ask you. As somebody who used to live in the St. Louis area on the Illinois side, I gotta ask you. Do you remember where exactly this barbecue place was that you went to? Was that actually in East St. Louis?
It's called It's called Taste of Texas.
Okay, I've heard of it. Okay, obviously never been there, but yeah, I know that it is. Interesting choice of places to go, but okay. No judgment. You made it safely, so we're good.
So yeah, head on a swivel. We made it safely out of there, and then we touched down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's the first time that I've actually been in Oklahoma. It was It was beautiful out there. I got to be honest. And I think now that this is why I say post COVID, because it's like, hey, if you feel comfortable actually traveling places now, um, do it, because I think part of our society, one, we need to get out. We need to stop doing so many things, you know, remotely. Go out, experience the world. It was refreshing, really. Um, and then day two, we just made it the rest of the way down to Texas. Um, now I will
Now,
say,
Terrence, tell folks where I actually went to in Texas.
oh, I went to Austin, Texas. So Austin is specifically, and listen, I've been to Texas before. The first time I actually went to Texas was I went to Houston in H Town in 2000, summer of 2000. So I do have some experience with the state, but it's the first time I've actually gone to Austin, and I've heard of really great things. The downtown area, checked out some of the culture, checked out some of the art galleries down there. Got a sense for the culture. Definitely, if I wasn't in the barbecue, I was definitely in the tacos this week, man. So I definitely have some places that the next time I'm in Austin, I want to check out. And yeah, Austin is not Houston, and Houston is not Austin, and that is okay. Um, Austin, I think, is definitely more bougie.
So before we go any further, I want to ask you about that because the one thing I've never been to Austin either. The one thing I've heard, the big thing I heard about Austin is that it's really good for millennials. And looking into this, apparently the Austin population is 31% millennials. So two things upon what you just said. So did you note kind of take any notice to that at all? Like it was like kind of full of millennials. And when it comes to bougie, was it mostly millennial bougie you're talking about, or was it just like more of the scenery and culture that look bougie in particular?
All right, so millennials, what is that? 26 to 41.
Basically, you and I are like just outside of the millennial range by a year or two. We're Gen X's, so generally that I think it was people born in like 81 or 82 through 98. They're millennials, so
Yeah, I would say it's definitely trends more millennial ish.
it now are you able to see that like in the you say culture? Are you able to see that like in the culture itself, the nightlife as well, restaurants too, or is just people you just or go ahead and answer that? Sorry.
Yeah, I did. Listen, so I didn't even go out that long. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of chilling. I was doing a lot of sightseeing. Like I mentioned, I checked out some local art galleries. Um, and I haven't been to the Art Institute of Chicago in forever, but it was kind of dope checking out some different art. Like I saw some Salvador Dali, for example, like some real deal artists in this art gallery. So basically, they were transporting it in from other art galleries in New York, for example, and they also showed some local artists as well. So yeah, I definitely, when I checked out the nightlife, um, for like a total maybe 3 hours, I was like, whoa. I was I was definitely I was almost a guy that was a little too old to be at the club, almost. So it
Almost,
def
bro.
so it definitely trended younger. That's just an observation.
You can take off that almost, bro, and just stop. It's okay. It's all right. So I tell you what, man. So um, that's kind of one of the couple of the positives that I kind of was reading up on and heard about Austin itself. Now, you mentioned Austin is not Houston, Houston's not Austin. One negative thing I heard about Houston and Dallas, for that matter, is the traffic is horrible. But I've also been today when looking into this, I've been seeing the kind of similar things to a lesser degree of Austin, like which is weird because it said it's a very car centric city. Like you'll need your car to get around, but with that, the traffic's going to be horrible because everyone's driving their cars. Now, obviously, you drove to Austin from the Chicagoland area. When you got into the town in Austin, did you notice that as well? That it was very car centric and the traffic wasn't all that great. Again, maybe to a lesser degree than Houston, but did you kind of notice that as well?
Yeah,
Now,
I
obviously not compared to Chicago either. But did you kind of notice that, you know, congestion a little bit?
I absolutely noticed that there was a an increase um in traffic. And Austin's only like what, maybe 700,000 people, I believe. But you look at the
Which still is not a
it,
small. It's not small, but yeah.
yeah, you
And keep in mind that probably doesn't include the college campus either, folks. If you don't know, Austin is home to University of Texas, the Longhorn. So that probably doesn't include their student population as well, which I'm sure is another at least 100,000. So
I'm sorry. It's actually probably closer to a million. They were at 961 in the 2020 census. So it's probably around the million people. So yeah,
yeah,
there's been a groundswell of there's been a population boom. And frankly, yeah, they probably haven't built that city out in terms of their expressway. Yeah, it's definitely it got a little tight there for a little bit. There's a lot of anxiety by my co-pilot on driving around town. Like some of the city driving, I think because we all those times we decided to drive to the Taste of Chicago all those years back, Jason. Those those
mm-hmm.
those those reps paid off well in Texas.
Couple more things I want to definitely ask you about because so when it comes to Texas in general, everybody talks about the weather in Texas like it's so hot, it's unbearable, blah blah blah. Now, obviously, there's different areas of Texas where the weather's going to be different. Whether if you're in the western part of the state, it's going to be more dry, more humid in the east and the south. Now, Austin's a little more closer to the north area, if I'm not incorrect on that. So, I'm not sure how long you were there, but in the time frame you were there, what was the weather like? Was it like overbearingly hot or what?
Oh, it was hot. It was hot as hell. And pretty much if you weren't out at the pool by 11, plan on sweating to death by let's say 2, because it the pool area was gorgeous. um but yeah, it was pretty much 100 degrees every day. And if you wanted to be out there enjoying life, it almost behooved you to be out there early before it got too hot, because it ended up being damn near 90 plus by 11:30.
Okay, so I'm definitely off about Austin being in North Texas. Definitely off off on that completely. But yeah, shut up. But anyway, it's more central ish. But okay, but let me ask you this though. So where you are, since it's kind of in the middle of the state, sort of south, really, was it more of that humid heat like we get in the Midwest, to where that 100 degrees was really more like 120, or so I've been always really curious about that because the one time I went to Texas, it was March. So obviously it was spring and we're by the water, so it didn't really get hot. But obviously you're in the, more central-ish in the state. So there's no water, no breeze. It's just desert and college. And that's it. That's it. So you're pretty much feeling that 120 humidity. Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't. If you were lucky, you get a light breeze here and there, but yeah, it was. Listen, if unless I was at some sort of very like dressed up dinner, it was muscle tees all week, dog. It was just too hot.
But what if you have no muscles? Then what do you do?
Well, fortunately for me, that doesn't apply.
Yeah, okay. So again, also reading up on Austin, I found a couple of things that are kind of a little weird. So one of the things that it said was that the people there are very friendly. But one of the cons to the place said that locals may not be happy with you moving there. So it's like they're friendly if they know you're visiting, but if they think you're transplanting there, they may not be as friendly to you. Was there any? Well, obviously you were there, and I'm not sure how much you really interacted with people who are from there or live in Austin. But were you able to get a sense about how friendly people were, or were they kind of leery about you if they thought you might have been moving there? Did you get any kind of a sense of that?
I mean, I didn't even engage in any discussions about
Okay.
You pretend or otherwise about prospects of moving. It was just, hey, how you doing? And yeah, pretty much text every Texan that I ran into when I was walking around, very chill, very pleasant, very friendly. Every Texan that cut me off was not friendly. When I was
Speaking of which,
driving, was
mhm,
not
go ahead.
friendly. So I'll leave it at that.
So speaking of which, one thing I just thought about is that now, not trying to make this a whole referendum on this, but just really more out of curiosity and frame of reference here. I remember when I was living in Springfield, Missouri, I went to a party, and some people at the party were from Oklahoma. And one of the gentlemen from Oklahoma, he had a holstered gun right on his hip. And I was a little bit taken aback by that because he was just now Missouri at that time. I don't believe was open carry, but obviously him being from Oklahoma is what it is. So I was talking to him, asking about that, like, so what's up with that gun there, blah blah blah, and he was telling me about again Oklahoma being open carry, and I just found that so fascinating. This is back in 2015, so I find that so fascinating that they were just allowed to do that, and it made me automatically think of the Wild Wild West that you can just walk around with your gun and it's fine. Now, obviously, Texas within the last year basically has done the same thing to where you can carry a holstered handgun without a permit. So, do you see any of that going on when it comes to people just walking around freely with guns showing, and basically it's not a big deal?
I did not see any of that in Austin. There was not a lot of walking softly and carrying a big stick, if you know what I mean.
I'm going to try not to comment on that. So, okay, no, I was very curious about that because obviously, we know what Texas reputation is. We know what laws, gun laws, stuff like that. So now obviously some of that could have been where you were. Did you get a chance to see the campus at all? Not necessarily take a tour of the campus, but like see like where the
Oh
main
yeah.
campus is.
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
totally one of my fraternity brothers was nice enough to take me around town and took me through UT's campus. It was beautiful, man. And I was actually lucky enough to see a few parents and students, helping when starting to move all their stuff. Um
Hmm.
back in it's almost harkens back to the school segment. So yeah.
Is there any plans for you? My last question here: are there any soft plans at the moment or dates when you might want to go back to Austin? Because it seemed like you liked it so much, like you might actually are open to going back.
I mean, I think I'm looking to do more travel in general in the next 6 months.
Facts.
Um,
Same.
and I feel like I'm just more open to it. You know, if I if nothing else, I really enjoyed this trip. I I didn't even tell you about the barbecue. Uh I went to a place in Lockhart, Texas, called Smitty's Barbecue. And what was so cool about it is that first off, you walk in, there's a little walkway, and then you look to your right, and there's a big, pile of just, smoldering wood that they're pumping into the smoker. And this wood, and what was unique about it is usually you see a smoker, the wood is inside the smoker. In this case, the wood was outside the smoker, and the way they were funneling the heat through there was through like a little like square opening in the smoker. And they had like the top of it, the hood for the smoker had like counterweights on top of it, so that when someone would open it up to start, taking the meat out, and basically everybody would go up to the counter, cash only for starters. Only two people I got to pay via cash. This barbecue joint, my barber.
Sorry for the pause, folks, but I was kind of shocked when Terrence said he goes to a barber. If you've seen Terrence on our videos, folks, you are probably just as baffled as I am when it comes to basically you're asking the same questions. Like in my head, why is Terrence going to a barber? Again, maybe that'll be next week's topic Number three.
That's for another segment, champ.
Exactly. That's next. We'll do that next week. Why does Terrence go to a barber? But anyway, again, not that I'm going to be consuming it, but well, I'm assuming the answer is yes. But was the barbecue at Smitty's better than the place in St. Louis?
Um,
Oh wow.
I don't know how I can answer that. That it's just different. Texas barbecue is different. Let me walk you through the rest of the experience before I even get into that.
Sure.
You go up to the counter, it's cash only, and one of my fraternity brothers had already been there once before, and he starts ordering stuff. And when that guy said, "Oh, I only need 3 bones," which is for the ribs, my pride said, "Oh, I need more than 3." My brain said, "Dude, just get the 3 because we know you're getting this other stuff." They had smoked turkey, they had smoked sausage, they had prime rib, for Christ's sake, the brisket, all of it, and everything's just weighed out by the ounce or the pound. I'm sorry. And
not a piece of no produce in sight, huh?
There were some sides later. Yeah. All right. So the first stop basically is you pay for all the meat, and they put it in, they wrap it up for you in butcher paper. So that there is some unique presentation to this, and they ask you, "Do you want bread?" And of course, the answer is yes. I want bread.
Okay.
And then you take your butcher paper of fine meats, and then you go to the next room, and then there's another line for all the sides and the drinks. And then you tell them the sides you want. They say barbecue sauce. They say how many people? Like, how do you even answer that? I was like, 2.
1. As a just in case.
Yeah, I'm like,
just in case somebody else shows up.
Okay. Just in case I think I need that sauce. It was great. And then lastly, there is a third station, Jason. There is a station for Bluebell ice cream.
Barbecue and ice cream. What a fabulous combination.
It was amazing. And I'm fairly certain I got the last 2 scoops of vanilla Bluebell ice cream in that joint. So shout out to Smitty's Barbecue in Lockhart, Texas. Shout out to the brothers of Sigma Alpha Mu Fraternity, showing me a wonderful time in Austin. Yeah, dogs. Road trips and rip tips, we back, dog.
All right, Terrence, thank you very much for sharing that. We appreciate that. Hopefully, folks, we'll get more travel stories from the both of us once we start doing that. And now, like Terrence said, that things are more open to doing so. So hopefully you enjoyed Terrence speaking on that, and thank you for listening.
And with that said, that is the third and final segment on Cal Park Roads, episode 71. And with that, we'll wrap up the show.